Good evening. I call to order the Hawarden, Iowa City Council for a special city council meeting on this Wednesday, November the 29th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. All present tonight are council and staff except Travis and Mayor Porter. If you wish to address the council tonight, there are no public hearings, but we can address the council on 1B, open business from the community. Starting with standard agenda items, 1A, approval of the November 29th, 2023 claims for payment. Starting on my left, Rob, any questions?
No questions.
Patty?
No, I don't have any.
Monty? Thank you. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
I make a motion to pay the claims.
There's been a motion by Patty
Second.
and a second by Rob. There's been a motion to pay the November 29th claims for payments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 3-1. 1B, open business from the community. Hearing none, we'll move on. There is no mayor tonight, so we'll skip down to 2B, staff reports. We'll start to my right with Carol.
Just like to remind everybody about this coming Saturday. It's going to be a very nice day for our activities in town. The Calliope Village vendors are going to be anxious to greet everyone. So if you have time this Saturday, please come down to Calliope Village here in Hawarden. Other than that, just working on my normal things, which a few of them are pretty exciting. Of course, can't talk about them. But, yeah, they're going along.
Thank you. Jenny?
Nothing, thank you.
Great, thank you. Jacob?
I didn't check my own mic. The only thing I'm gonna talk a lot on the other stuff, but the only thing that I want to hit on additionally to that is to thank Megan Danielson for her service. She has been with the city since August of last year. She has found new employment with Sioux City, and she will be moving on mid-December to them. So I just wanted to thank her for her service to our city.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you, and I thank Megan for her service here in Hawarden.
Are there other council comments or questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll move to other agenda items. The first item here, number 3, is the appointment of the vacant council seat to Christy Warner. This was previously voted on in the prior meeting, so the only thing left tonight is the oath of office to complete that seat. So Christy will come up. Raise your right hand and state your
I, Christy Warner, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all the duties of the City Council for the City of Hawarden as now or hereafter required by law.
Thank you very much. I'll sign behind you and invite you up there, Lonnie.
So let's just have you sign that yours. This one will be mine. And then that one is yours. And then that's your pen. All right, thank you so much.
Be nice. Be nice.
Don't I get a say in where she's
No, play nice.
Thank you, Christy, and welcome aboard. All right, moving on to number 4 is the review and approval of the fiscal year 2023 Urban Renewal Report. Jacob?
All right, so this was basically an actuals of everything that we spent for TIF last year, and it just needs to be approved through council. It doesn't need anything other than a voice vote.
Okay, are there any comments or questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Been a motion by Patty,
I'll second it.
a second by Rob. All right, there's been a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 2023 Urban Renewal Report. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next is review and approval of the annual financial report. Jacob?
Again, this is just the actuals of last year. We looked at this last meeting, and this is what was posted in the paper, just needs approved before December 1st.
So move.
There's been a motion by Rob. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And a second by Patty. There's been a motion and a second for approval of the annual financial report. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next on the list, number 6, is a police update.
All right, so this is just going to be a couple different items. I'm going to touch on it a little bit, and then we will have Johnny Milliken will come up and give a more in-depth presentation over what's going on and what's coming up. So as we all know, we need to get some officers hired. We have started that process. We've got some applicants in, and they will be going over that process tonight with you guys and talking about our potential timeline for that. As for the chief update, so we have about tomorrow, and then we will probably, I'm assuming, start reopening it back up again to more applicants. And that's just what I'm gathering from you guys. So we're not extending any longer, and we are going forward. And then when the next group of testing comes through, we could include him in that testing as well. So that is my brief update on the police situation, and I believe Johnny is prepared to give you a little bit more in-depth on that.
Seems like as soon as you retire, you got to get readers, so put these on. We've got 12 applicants that we're going to test tomorrow. The application process is not over. We'll keep taking applications until we can get a full police department. So, but right now we have 12. I think one is certified. He does not have to test because he's still certified as a law enforcement officer in the state of Iowa. Tomorrow's going to be the physical test. We run them through the 1.5 miles. We run them through the push-ups and sit-ups. And in the 31 years I've worked at the police department, it seems like the list gets cut in half during the testing. People will either not be able to do the post-test or the physical agility test, or they don't score very well on the MMPI test. But what we're going to do is we're going to test them all tomorrow. Those that pass the test, pass the 1.5 miles, the sit-ups and push-ups, we will get a hold of them, and then it's going to start the interview process and stuff like that. There's no sense in interviewing or paying for MMPI or getting into a bunch of financial stuff if they can't pass the physical test, because it's free to test them. So that's why we do that first. They eliminate themselves if they can't do that, and we just go on. If we have 5 applicants left, we have 5. If we have all 12, great. I believe we're going to start getting a hold of people on Friday, the day after the testing, and then next week, hopefully we can get together with a group, and I believe a couple of you are going to be part of it. We're going to start going through and do the interview process, and we'll line those up for next week if it works out for everybody. Anybody is free to get on the hiring committee. I believe it's going to be Cody and me and maybe a couple of you guys. If there's a couple more that want to be on it, by all means, that's fine. You know, we'll all discuss the applicants and we'll get together and decide who the top 3 or 4 are, or, you know, or whatever we can narrow it down to. I would hope that if you have a say, if you have an opinion, get on the committee so you can ask those kind of questions and pick the person you want. There's not going to be one person that gets to pick everybody. You know, we'll go through it all and discuss it as a group. So if you don't want to be on the committee, I would hope that you would trust us. That's why you have the committee. That's why you kind of hired me back to kind of help the transition. So I would hope that you would trust in the fact that we'll try to get the best people we can. You know, we got a list. Hopefully there's some good people on it. So I don't know if it's Patty and and Rob that are going to be with us in the interview process, or if you guys have decided, but
I don't know if that's been decided yet.
Okay.
I would suggest no more than two, because if you have more than two, it's a quorum, so,
Correct.
and then you have to have a meeting for that,
Yes.
okay.
so.
But that's kind of the process. We'll just keep going. We'll just keep going after the interviews, and then we'll, do MMPIs, and we'll do all that stuff that the state makes us do, and we'll see what we end up with on the list at the end.
Sounds good.
Do you guys have any questions?
I just have, not necessarily a question, but since you're up there, just kind of piggyback off this. I did talk to Sheriff Van Voorst today. Obviously, the goal is to get as many people hired as possible as soon as possible. Realistically, before January 1, probably not. And especially if there's only one certified.
Right.
He said things have been going well. He said with the county. He said the city's been great to work with. He said Cody has been putting in more than is expected, and that there's really been an increase in arrests. And he just says things have been going well. He had 0 complaints, and he said he'd be willing to extend the contract that's in place. And I said 6 months. If people are hired and on the ground in 3, we don't need them, but at least it's in place. So I said I'd ask the council today what their direction would be, if that's something they're willing to entertain, because come January 1, we don't have a contract in place.
I say we put it on the agenda for next meeting and go ahead and approve that until we get enough people in place.
I agree.
Anyone have any concerns or any issues
$75
with
an
that?
hour.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a valid concern.
And that's why we're going to try to hire somebody here in the
Yeah.
next couple weeks, hopefully, is get some positions filled.
I appreciate you coming out and helping us out on this deal,
I do
too,
too,
so-
Johnny.
No problem.
And I think everybody in town does too, so.
Thank you.
And you understand the police department and the community and how we'd like it to be,
Been a part of it for a long time.
Oh, yeah. So we're fortunate to have you step up and help.
Thanks, no problem.
And, yeah, definitely the sheriff, extending that contract with the sheriff's office.
Well, and just to piggyback off what she said, they did say it's a good relationship right now, it's going good, but
Yep.
financially, it's not, obviously,
No.
the ideal situation, but, things have been going pretty good, and hopefully we can get Cody some help, and that's the goal, is to get some people hired in the next 2 or 3 weeks and get them through the testing. And then, even the field training, I'm the one that made the field training manual for the police department. That takes a month or 2. If they're not certified, they're not going to be able to work on their own for 2 or 3 months. So it's a long process, so we got to get going on it, so.
That was going to be my question. How long to get them certified?
It just depends on their experience, but, going through the field training manual is pretty quick, but, you got to learn the town, you got to learn addresses, how to get there. If you've never done traffic stops, we'd like you to do 3 or 4 of those before you're out on your own doing it. There's just a lot to it, and really the only way to do it is to get involved in it. You're not going to know what to do in a domestic until you get called to a domestic. But if we can get that training in there to give you an idea of how to handle a domestic when you get there, it's a lot better. And usually it's a month and a half, if they can come 3 or 4 times a week and be trained. So, if we hired somebody tomorrow, it'd be mid-January, probably, before they're on their own. So,
And Jenny, to confirm, we fill the open slots with city staff first, so if you have city officers,
Correct.
the sheriff would just have fewer slots to,
And then I think
To
the
fill.
sheriff's trying to fill in, and then I think what's been happening, and Cody can correct me if I'm wrong, is essentially he's then been taking what's left.
yeah. Well, and really, we'd rather pay our own guys even overtime than pay $75 an hour.
Right.
It sounds to me like they don't have a real good budget for overtime over there now, so we're actually getting more guys coming on board to work over here because they like the extra money, obviously.
Sure.
So it's not a matter of filling the hours. I think all the hours have been filled, and we're getting coverage. Ireton's getting their coverage. Everything's going well, but we need our own police department. We need to get going on that kind of stuff.
Do you think we could have county guys sign up as part-time in the future if we're short on officers? I mean, do you think that would be an option?
Well, we are.
Fill without paying $75 an hour?
Yeah, we've already got one officer in mind right now that wants to work some part-time. He's a Sioux Center officer. And, if we can get more people like that can work part-time, that would, that'd save the $75 an hour too.
Well, it's an extraordinary circumstance, and you pay you pay those kind of rates when you're in this kind of situation.
Right.
Do we want to, in the long term? No, but it sounds like you got things rolling pretty good.
Yeah, and if you guys do the 6-month extension or whatever, if
Yeah.
it ends in 4 months, if we're fully staffed in 4 months,
Yep.
then it's just a 4-month contract. You know, they're fine with us just saying, hey, we got enough. And it's
Sure.
going to weed itself out. We're going to start filling in shifts with our guys.
Yep.
So then there won't be enough shifts for them, and then pretty soon there won't be any shifts for them, and it'll just be over, you know, so. Any other questions, or?
Oh,
I think the community's grateful for all the effort put in to keep everything covered, so
Thank
it's
you.
everyone taking those spots and keeping it
And
filled.
you probably all have my number, so if you have questions in the future, just give me a call.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Right. We'll move to item number 7, discussion of the city administrator position. We'll start with Jacob on that.
For this one, we were just going to discuss kind of the future of what's going on with this as well. And then I have some training coming up in January that we were going to take a look at for my time frame coming up there, I believe is what we got. I was going to pull that up real quick. I will be gone that week that we have that first council meeting in January. And then I'll be gone over a few weekdays later on in the month. So with that, I don't know what all we wanted to talk about with this position.
Do we want to move that first meeting in January back a week, or does that make a difference, or the council?
Does that make any difference on you working the budget and things like that?
It doesn't hurt me one bit. I'm going to introduce the
Balancing.
budget to you guys next meeting.
Okay.
We have been working to get the spreadsheets ready to go for the next year. And we haven't started putting in our predicted budget numbers yet, but we have almost finished putting in the actuals from last year in there. So we'll be ready to rock with those here shortly.
Does that rush you for balancing the month of December or anything like that?
No, no.
Okay.
So
I mean, I have no problem with changing the date.
honestly, now that these two items that we're meeting here for are done, there's a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, there is with
So
these reports.
they were pretty stressful. So
This way you can just concentrate on the budget more than having to worry about these reports. They're pretty in-depth.
yeah, and we'll go over the timeline. We do have for the budget. I mean, I can kind of briefly touch on it. It looks we will have to pass it by April 30th this year. But it has extra steps, so we'll have to pass it, I think, essentially 2 or 3 times. So get initial numbers, and we'll send those to the county. The county has to mail out to every individual household in the county a form that, and I'll have more information on this next meeting, so, but just a lot more steps.
So we were accepting applications to start until November 30th on the city administrator position, and at the last meeting, there wasn't any sent in. I guess it's really, I just want Jacob to know where he stands. I mean, he's interim city administrator right now, and do we just leave him in that position? And because we know that he has to serve in the military come April, and we will need to appoint another interim city administrator in his absence. So
What's the question?
the question is,
Leave him where he is?
yes, do we leave him as interim city administrator?
And I will say that I am completely comfortable staying as interim as well.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, we didn't have any applicants for that. Did we get one
We got
late?
3 applicants within the last month
Okay.
for this position. I have sent them all out to you guys.
Yeah.
So-
I couldn't remember if the one was for this or the police chief.
I think one was for both, maybe.
I guess,
I think one was for both.
It was kind of,
yeah, kind of for both, yeah. Okay, so you'll notify those people that the council's just decided to keep you as interim city administrator, and we're not moving any further,
Okay.
okay? Yeah,
Have we talked to Tucker?
that would be a next step if we leave him interim, and finding the interim city administrator when Jacob goes to serve in the military in April.
I will say that I've made initial contact with him. I have not spoken to him yet. We've just texted so far. I will try and get a hold of him shortly.
Oh, he needs to be involved before.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to come spend some time here. If nothing else, to figure out what's going transpired from the time he left in town. Now,
It's been a while.
Okay, just,
All right, so you'll coordinate that, Jacob?
I can.
okay.
Okay. Any other comments for our city administrator discussion? If not, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Our next scheduled council meeting is our regular council meeting, December 13th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
There's been a motion by Patty. Is there a second?
Second. Oh,
Second.
Christie. We'll let Christie do it.
Forgot about it.
Put Christie's name in there.
Second by Christie. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We are now adjourned.